I was really young. My birthday was on the 30th of August, so when I started school, it was the 2nd of September. I'd been for a few days. I was the youngest. And these kids, I didn't even start the first month. They kept me an extra month back, which meant that everyone else had made friends, which is the reason why I was bullied. I had a girl come up to me and be like, "You can't hang out with my friends. You can sit there on the bench and talk to the turtle." And I did. But that was like 3-4-year-olds just being mean more than anything. It wasn't like because it was me or anything, and I know that now. But it unfortunately knocked away at my self-esteem through the whole of primary school because I was with these kids for... I was with them for 4 or 5 years. Not that long, really, because I left school in the beginning of year 6 because we moved. And then the new school was a really rough school, and we got put in because it was November, it was the only school that would take me and my brother at this time of year. And I made friends with a girl, and her best friend beforehand had gotten extremely annoyed that I had come about and decided that she was going to be as mean as she physically could be, so I wasn't friends with her anymore. And it worked. I moved schools instead because she stapled my jacket and she physically beat me up outside the school. She's a very strong girl. And what did it was that she beat me up, and then her mum was like, "Is this the cow that's bullying you?" And I went, "I'm the one with the bruises on my face. I'm only 10. And that's what happened, because they put me back a year because they thought it'd be better for me because I was very young, unless I was actually slower than the other kids and so at reading. I'm a great reader now, I rock it, but like wasn't great then. So she beat me up, and that just made me think schools were horrible. And I had one school which I loved. I was there till maybe 2 months before the end of year 6, and we moved house again. And I've got a couple of friends that I'm still talked to this day from a year from that school. I loved it. And then I went to secondary school, the same one I went to all the way through, and I hated that place with a passion because I even went sixth form there because it was the best sixth form in the area that I lived in. But from year 7 to 11, I had a group of girls make my life a living hell. I had friends for moments with them, everyone does. There was this girl, Emma, I don't mind naming her, there was loads, and she was friends with me for a while, and then she literally turned up and said, "I'm better than you," which is not true to this day, in my opinion. And then she chose a whole group of girls, and they were really mean to me, to the point where I was crying on a daily basis in the bathrooms before, like, what do they call it, registry. And I was the only person allowed to go home at lunchtimes in year 8, 9 and 10. It wasn't tame, it was proper bitchy girls. Girls are horrible in school, which is so bad.
How old would you have been in years 8, 9 and 10?
I went back here, 12, 13, 14, around that age.
Right, okay. The difficult age.
Yeah, it's just a group of girls that don't know where they are in the world. So they go through puberty. There's competition from other girls that are like... I remember in particular, she was like, "You're not good enough because this girl has started having sex." We were 14. I didn't care. I liked Pokemon still at the stage. I still do. But there was this competition to be the popular girls and all of this. It's so petty now, it sounds so funny, which is why I can talk about it fine now, because I've really been able to evaluate it over the past 3 years of my life. And I've gone, it's made me stronger, it's made me the person who I am. But it was horrible at the time. I remember it like it was yesterday, where I was in the bathrooms crying my eyes out over these girls. And I remember being in the headmaster's office about all the bullying and saying, "These are the girls," which quite frankly did actually make it better. So people say don't tell the teachers. When they get in really big trouble, they won't mess with you for a month. It's brilliant. But there was that, and...
Was the school, like authorities, were they supportive?
No. They thought they were, but what my headmaster actually did turn around to me and say is, "This school does not have a bullying problem." Every school has a bullying problem. You just didn't want to be that school. And he was like, no, this school doesn't have a bullying problem, so just get on with it, girls, and apologise and be best friends again. We were never best friends. It's like, I just remember stupid things now, like, I went to a Catholic school, so we all got confirmed and all this. And I had my confirmation day, and this girl again, the one before, was just like, oh, and she was like, for us, that's my day, not hers. And she was just so rude and mean, and she decided to be really especially mean to me on this day because I was getting my hair done nice and I had all the nice new clothes, and my mum basically killed that girl and rang her mother just saying your daughter's being a bitch. And she did. My mum was brilliant. She did stick up for me necessary, and she was very blunt about it as well too, because these girls did come around my house. We were trying to be friends, but they all turned on everybody. It's not just me, they turned on everybody if they weren't happy with them. If one got a little fat, they were making her know that they thought she was fat and laughing behind her back. I don't know why I hung around them at all. They were nicer girls in the year, it's just because they were in my classes or something. And there was... The guys were equally as bad to some extent, because they were all like, oh, you're going out with her? Oh, you should go out with her. It was just a popularity contest. And that happened even in sixth form, but by sixth form I learned to just be like, oh, you kids. I even remember this girl telling me one day, you shouldn't wear short skirts or shorts so your thighs touch and calves touch. And then she'd be like, oh, like little things. They try and pick at you physically and emotionally. And I was actually a very skinny kid, but I was forever thinking I was massive compared to these girls. And it sounds so petty now, and even when I say it in my face, but it really affects you, especially because you're hearing it like 10 months out of the year. It's not so bad now because I don't mind telling these girls to basically, in a not so polite term, go away. I don't mind doing that now. But I had no self-esteem, they'd gotten rid of that. So that's what happened. And then in sixth form, I was very fortunate to have made a small group of friends I'm still in touch with today. And even the same people, most of them are gone. Most of them left in GCSEs, and most of them are now mothers. I earn more than them on a basic salary, on a minimum wage salary. I still manage to make more than them. They're all in council houses. Some of them have several children by several different fathers, or they, I don't know, they just don't seem to have done very well compared to what they used to yell at me for. Some people, like, their family members have died and they've managed to buy a shop and they're starting a business in the last few months, but they haven't accomplished anything before that. That money fell into their hands and they managed to do something with it. And I know that sounds very horrible and bitchy, but it's true. And I don't know, sometimes you look back and Facebook, oh my god, worst thing ever really, because people go back and reflect, or they come up on your newsfeed and you don't know why. Like, I see some of them got married and that's great, and I don't feel bad for any of them, but when I look back and just think what they bullied me for, a lot of them bully me for my looks. I don't, it sounds harsh, I don't look white and I know it, and I am, and I get a lot of G jokes at my expense, and I can take them all now because I dish it just as bad out with my friends. We have a lot of banter about it. But these girls were really mean, and they'd be like, oh, you're getting really fat or something. And I wasn't, I was a size 8 or something. I'm tiny then, I'm bigger now. Not much. I look back and then now, it's little things, and you look back and you're like, why would you do that? And then, you know, on Facebook you see they've gotten bigger now, and you do kind of look back and think, why would you be that mean to me and then be like, oh, like that? I don't know. To some extent I would say I've gone a little bitter, but not intentionally. It's horrible, I don't mean to do it. It's instilled in me in some way, and I do try to stop it. I'd be like, oh, that was mean.
Have these people sort of like, from your past, they've done sort of, they've like done friend requests to you on Facebook, yeah. And you're just thinking, well, you treated me this way years ago, why have you suddenly... Because you know there's every chance that they're just doing that just to see what you're doing with your life, so therefore they can even maybe start
totally,
again.
Because the funny thing is my Facebook wasn't made by myself. Mm-hmm. It was made by my group of friends that I had in sixth form and nicely developed. And they added everyone in the year. And so up until maybe 2 years ago, I had everyone still on there. And I looked through and I was like, I hate half these people. I didn't hate them because, to be honest, I don't really hate anyone. Mm-hmm. I just kind of, I get annoyed by like, why am I getting this information? And the funny thing is I know in school it seems like, oh, it's all like, this is life and that's it. But I remember this girl's boyfriend, not, you know, he was nice to me because our parents were friends. It's not that big a year or whatever. But like, I bumped into him after uni and we went out on a night out. He was like, oh, wow, you got all pretty. I should have dated you instead of this girl. I was like, I didn't really care at the time and I still don't. It was just a really weird mentality. It was like talking to someone back in school. And I was just like, I don't get it. And I think to some extent it's made me grow up in a way. Because I wasn't treated so nicely as a child by others. My family were amazing. But by others, I'm too trusting of everyone. It's a terrible trait because I get knocked down by a lot of people I still know today. Like, I'll trust someone and be like, oh, they're good friends of mine, and then the next month they've not turned on me, but their priorities have changed and they want to be this person's friend instead. And I'm learning how to grow up with that people can be very temporary.
Being trusting is not a bad thing, Mandy.
No, I know that.
Not at all.
It's something I still have.
It's a quality, if anything.
The thing is, part of me knows that, but I remember talking with a friend a few months back, and they said, what qualities did you get rid of? And some people were like, oh, I'd be less bitchy, or I'd stop smoking. I just went, I'd be less trusting, because quite frankly, it gets you in a lot of trouble. And it does. So that's probably, because this is worse, when my bullies would come up to me and be like, oh, we're so sorry. I'd forgive them, and my mum would be like, what is wrong with you, child? What is wrong with you? These people have hurt you. And I'd be like, yeah, we're friends now, we're friends. And then about a week later, it was all back to exactly how it was, and that would hurt me even more. It sounds almost like they planned it, but I know they didn't. They were just kind of, I don't know.
How old were you when you felt that you were starting to get on top of it? Would you say?
Sixth form.
Sixth form.
Yeah.
That's when. And how? Just if there's ever any other youngsters watching who are sixth formers, how did you deal with it?
I was fortunate that in sixth form, it sounds so stupid, but a lot of those people don't make it past GCSEs, and it's so true. And it sounds horrible, but it's true. And if they go to sixth forms, they go to other sixth forms, and they usually drop out or something like that. But the different people come into your life in sixth form. It's not the same people. Like, we had this other school come around, and we ended up I made a very good group of friends who I'm still in contact with today, and some of them are in London with me, and it's great. I love the fact that I can see them. Some of them are getting married. Love that. I'm so happy for them. But in sixth form, there was still that mentality of 16-year-olds there, because we're only 18. It's not that far off. Me and my friends supposedly sat in the ugly corner because our year was horribly divided. My brother's year, he has so many friends. That year is amazing. I wish I was in the same year as my brother. But ours was horribly divided into what we called the plastics, thanks to Mean Girls. They were just called the plastics. They were all into their looks, their parties and all that. And a lot of them didn't go on to uni, and if they went to uni, they didn't get far into it, or they went all the way through, and now they're doing, some of them, I'm not saying they all failed, because they didn't. Some of them did amazingly. But they were just that half of the year, and we were the other half, which people picked on because maybe we weren't as pretty, or maybe we liked our grades more. I don't know. Maybe we just liked each other more than them, or it was less shallow. I have no idea. But I think having a few people was really nice. And even within that group, there was a few of those catty people still in there, and you don't know why to this day. But, I remember telling a secret, very, very personal to myself, to someone, and they told the entire year, which just destroys you. But I look back now, and that secret was actually nothing. It was something that was just part of growing up. So I think it's just taking it and knowing it's all temporary. And then university is completely different, because the people that had been on top all the way through school, it was a complete shock to them, because uni is such a level it's a level playing field. You have your housemates, you go out. If you go out and try and find a person, like boyfriend or girlfriend, I don't know, a love interest, everyone's on a level playing field. But when a person, you get the people that are surprised when it all happens, like myself, I was like, oh wow, I'm not being bullied or anything, this is amazing. Or you get the people that don't understand, they're very bitchy and catty. And I because I go back to my university to see my boyfriend, I see these people, and I like, and it might be the psychological side of me, because having studied psychology for 3 years, that sees it, but that you can just see these people just kind of like, and they don't understand it. It's a really bizarre mentality. I don't know. I feel like I'm analysing it a lot to some extent, but I always change my opinion on it a lot as well, very, very quickly, because it did damage me.
But do you think those experiences brought you out a better person?
Yeah, they did. I was always a very talkative person, so it wasn't like I was overly shy or anything. But yeah, I as I said, I'm very trusting, and those experiences, especially now that I'm getting into my mid-20s, they are. It's maybe I still, there are still lessons that it happens to me over and over again that I haven't learned for whatever reason. But I am starting to get that I have to not, maybe I could trust people, but maybe not let them show the whole of myself instantly, kind of protect myself, and that's happening slowly. And it works well with business, because when you want a career and you give it all like, I've got this, and then you get rejected, it's painful, but it's kind of the same thing. You just got to learn to develop that skin, but it's knowing what factors you can and can't control in your life. And my mum and I even said, like, because I had so much bully experiences through all sorts of things, a lot of the time I did think it was me. But I look back now, and I know a lot of it wasn't. A lot of it was just a group of girls that wanted to be all that, and like when I was in younger school, it was just purely because I was younger, like because I was the youngest, and there was that. But the middle one, I don't know, because I did have some good school experiences, so I never really know. I can't. It's one of those what if situations. Looking back, it's rose tinted glasses and all that. Who knows?